What's up, everybody? Let me get all these shared in a couple places real quick and we'll get started. Bring Morgan on. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Enjoy this beautiful weather here. Okay. Hi, Jordan. Okay. Let me approve. Add.
Hey.
Okay. I can hear you now.
Okay,
I was
good.
worried there for a second. I was like, I can see you, but I can't hear you. So.
You're like, oh gosh, what's happening? Okay, I'm gonna share this too.
Same.
Let's see.
All right. So we got it in the AWAKEN Vlogcast series. We're good.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share to my page too. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday again already.
I know. It flew by. I'm glad we do this once a week. It gives us time to like gauge like for the next week. And
yeah.
If we did it more than once, I think we would be too rushed and it wouldn't be the same value we bring every week. So.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it's nice to like space it out every week. Oh my gosh, I have like a frog in my throat or something.
It's all good. Just figure it out. It's all good.
It's like, oh, throat chakra. Come on. Let's be nice.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Dan. Good to see you again too. Well, welcome. We're on episode 7 now of our AWAKEN Vlogcast.
That's awesome.
And we're going to pick a really good topic this week. We're doing fear. So do you want to kind of tell them like a little spill of like why you picked fear as a topic for tonight?
Yes, and it's funny because I actually had some fear about doing this. I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say. I haven't like looked up anything. It's just, it came to me one day, like in the shower when I'm doing all my thinking. I'm like, what am I, what's going to be our topic? And I was like, fear would be perfect because I feel like that's just something that, I mean, globally is going on. And then obviously experiencing it in my life personally, just, I mean, last week was awful. There was just so much fear about everything, and it was just overwhelming. And I know we all deal with that. And so I was like, well, let's just talk about it, because I'm sure everyone else watching has fear about something. And it's just learning how to not let it control you and become obsessive about it, because it's okay to feel fear and to deal with your feelings. But when you become obsessive about it is when it really like takes hold of you, and it can cause a lot of disruption in your life, and it's not fun.
Yes. That's kind of where they get, and when you talk about that, it's like when you get paralyzed by it and you just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like you get so scared, you just don't make any decisions, and then you're just in the same spot. You get paralyzed or froze in that position. Like no decisions being made, no changes being made.
You're like, I'm just gonna check out and like do nothing.
Yeah,
and then that's not nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here to experience. That's the whole point. I really believe that Earth, like us incarnating in these, I call them meat suits, but like, are these bodies? I know you hate it.
I know. I hate that term. It's fine that you use it, but I'm just like, ew. What do I prefer? I'm just like our human form.
These vessels. Okay, is this better?
Vessels,
these human vessels that we chose to be in this lifetime. The whole point is experiencing things. That's how our soul grows, right? The more experiences we've been through, the more lessons we learn, the older or more knowledge that our soul gains throughout eternity, really. I mean, so I'll try to say vessels from now on for you.
Yeah, you can say meat suit. I'm sure other people get a kick out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, meat suit. I remember, even so, speaking about fear and eternity, I remember as a kid, I was trying to think of or understand the concept of eternity. Because, you die and you go to heaven forever. And I remember just thinking, like, forever? and just trying like for like never ending, like forever. And that as a kid even brought like a little bit of fear, even though it was probably more confusion because you're just like trying
Yeah.
to wrap your mind around
What
forever.
that means.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
forever. And like even if you like sit and just you really just stop and you quiet your mind and you think about eternity, for like it just goes on and on and on and never ever stops. Like it's a little bit wild because then you're like, well, what do you do with forever? And it's like, this is what we do with forever. And it just all comes full circle, even though it never ends. And so and I feel like for me, like I do get a lot of fear around thinking bigger about these concepts and then even worrying about like, what are people going to think? They're going to think I'm crazy or that I'm some sort of godless heathen or something, and just by questioning things. So I have a lot of
Yeah.
fear around, I don't even know how to describe it, just like everything sometimes.
Well,
Does that
and
make
that,
sense?
yeah, well, and you know that, well, you've talked about this before on here a lot about programs too, right? So
Oh,
like
yeah.
you could have a fear of something that I'm not even scared of at all based on whatever program you have, or somebody watching has a fear that to maybe somebody else it'd be totally irrational. They're like, why do you have that fear? But whatever program they have with that is
Hmm.
huge because that's their wiring, right? That's how their brain works.
Yeah.
Um, so the main thing with fear in general, right? Because it's a reptilian brain. That's what's kept us alive all of these years,
Hmm.
right? Hearing a growl out of a cave, we know there's a saber tooth out there, so we got to be hyper
You're like,
vigilant,
quick,
alert.
gotta survive.
Yeah,
Oh my
fight or
God,
flight. I
scared.
got to
Yeah.
either run or fight this thing.
Yeah.
So it's not actually meant to paralyze us. It's meant to serve us. So
Hmm.
that's where it becomes the choice. Do we let this fear stop us from doing what we need to do and just make no decisions, or do we use this moment to step into our power, right? Like we talk about all the time, gaining your power back and making a powerful choice instead of being scared.
Right. And sometimes if you're like me and you overthink things, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a choice. Like, what if I make the wrong choice?
You can
There's
always
just
change your mind.
I know you can, but it's weird.
What is
And so
wrong, right? You just learned
right.
another way not to do it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you
that's
gain
true.
experience from that choice, whatever choice you made, even if it's the wrong choice. I don't believe in the
That's
word
true. And
wrong.
that's definitely programming is what if I make the wrong choice? So there's no wrong choice. There's just choices that have
Yeah,
different results that may
it's
be
different
more
experiences for
or
you.
less pleasurable than you expected.
And as humans, for some reason, we evolve sometimes more off of pain than pleasure, which is so interesting to me, like how that's even a
That's
thing.
weird.
But what I mean is
Yeah.
like some people that make the biggest changes have to go through some of the most painful things.
Oh
So
yeah.
sometimes making
Yeah.
the wrong choice actually in the end ends up helping you when you make the right choice because now
Yeah.
you've had the contrast, right? You've had the experience of the thing you
That's
don't
true.
want to tell you what you do want.
And then it's actually the right choice
Yeah.
because yeah, oh my gosh. So anyone, if you're watching, um, feel free. I mean, you can let us know what you think, ask questions, comment. We love the interaction. So just don't feel like you have to sit and watch
Yeah.
because we like to hear your side of the story too, and your opinions and your thoughts, and we can all learn from each other because we create this
100%.
we create this space every Wednesday for each other and for you guys. So yeah, chime in if you feel called to do so. Um, don't be scared.
Yeah.
No fear around this.
No
This
fear,
is a no
guys.
fear zone. This is
This
a
is a
zone where we
collective
discuss fear.
conversation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You're supposed to join in and let us know. Maybe you have a fear that you think you're the only person with a fear because who doesn't do this, right? I'm the only
Oh yeah.
person that
Oh,
has
that'd
this
be
fear.
good. Share our fears.
Share what your
Like,
fear is. And
yeah,
you might be pleasantly surprised that some of the people that are watching this with you, or maybe one of us, have that same fear.
yeah.
So,
I know as a parent, you have all these fears around like your kids getting hurt. Like just like ridiculous
you have to
things.
check them.
Some things are legitimate, like you can't let them go play outside on a busy street because they could
Yeah.
get hit by a car. But then there's other things that are totally, you just make up these crazy scenarios. I know
Yeah.
that's a struggle for me is like, how do you give them space, but also make sure they're protected? So That's a
So
big
I
thing for
think
me
the
as a parent.
basics, like with that, would be like you would say, don't let your kids go play in the street, right? But
Right.
also don't smother them based off of your past experience and program because they're never going to get that experience if you let your
Hmm.
fear stop them
That's true. Well,
because
see,
they're
and
not
when
you.
we were kids, um, we just played outside. I mean, we would go outside and be outside for
Mhm.
hours and
Same.
hours. And
Building
like
forts
you
and
just,
stuff.
yeah, and just like playing with the kids in the neighborhood and you're just running around. And we were in a cul-de-sac, so, not a lot of traffic. But I mean, I don't feel like I would feel comfortable doing that anymore. Just the state of the world and all the things that happen. I mean, my kids obviously still play outside, but I could never, I can't even comprehend letting like my 8-year-old just go wander the neighborhood by himself for hours and with like no phone to check in or anything. Like that is so, it's a different
I,
time we live in.
that and I think it also depends on like how you've taught your eight, let's use your 8-year-old as an example,
Hmm.
like what you've taught him as far as what he knows so far, like what not to do, what to do, what to do if somebody comes up to him, like all those
Hmm.
scenarios, right? Like you talk them through before they
Yeah,
actually happen in real life, so that if they were to happen, he knows what to do.
that's true.
I think that would help too, at least like ease
That
your
does too.
mind.
But then someone could just like snatch up a kid, you know.
So then you teach him what is that on Miss Congeniality? Sing. Stomach,
It's been a long. Oh yeah,
instep, nose, groin. Like
yeah. He did a version of that. They did some taekwondo back in the day, and they did teach him how to, like you kick and you like hit your head back to hit him in
yeah,
the
yeah.
nose, and yeah. So it's just those are just the daily fears of Morgan being a mom, but it's all fine.
Let's
It's
see.
just
I have some comments on.
let's see. I don't see any comments yet. You guys are quiet tonight.
I've got
So we're
some on mine.
fine.
You don't see them?
I don't see any.
Oh, okay.
Unless
Well, I'll go
my
back. I'll go
unless
back and see.
my hang on, let me swipe. I might have been swiped the wrong way. No, I didn't see it. Okay, I've swiped it there. Okay, I see
So,
some things now, so
okay.
I see
So Summer
dance.
said
Maybe
my
it's
fear is
loading. Okay.
that's weird. Summer said my fear is failing at things. Okay. So you've developed this fear because of something that's happened. And this isn't just for Summer, this is for anybody who maybe didn't share their fear. What we were just talking about. You develop this fear because of something that's happened. So a program, that's what we talked about, the wiring in your mind.
Hmm.
So can you remember the first time you felt like a failure? Like you don't have to share if you don't want to, but if you do and feel comfortable, go for it. But I would just ask you to go back to the very first time you remember feeling that fear about that thing. What happened? Because I can guarantee you can go right back to that memory, just like you're back there, and the same feelings will come over you. You'll remember in detail things, maybe who said it to you or what you felt, and just explore that. That's kind of what I do with the rewiring. That's how we do it,
Hmm.
right? We go back to those hyper vigilant moments like that. And fear is a huge one. I deal a lot with trauma, PTSD, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when you go into that, your fight or flight is triggered. So you get all those hormones, chemicals, and stuff flowing through your body.
Hmm.
And so you're hyper vigilant, hyper alert. So that's why it's almost like for me, when I went through traumatic experiences, you could or I could remember going back to that in detail, like it wasn't happening in slow motion because I was so hyper alert, right?
Hmm.
So when we experience fear even later down in life, like now, say something happened to you when you're like 5 and you're now 35 and it's re-triggering every time that represents itself, or it's
Yeah.
when your brain thinks it's happening again, right? Doesn't have to be
Hmm.
the same scenario, but like with
Yeah.
Morgan talking about her kids, it could be something Morgan's experienced, and not that she's experiencing now, but she has kids and she worries that that's going to happen to her
Oh, I
kid.
know.
I see that all the time with moms, especially
Oh
right
yeah.
if they're
It's
first
like,
time moms,
oh yeah.
like if they've been through any kind of trauma, especially like sexual trauma or anything like that, right after they have a kid, there's just something it like re-triggers, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, this thing they thought they dealt with and they pushed back, it just all resurfaces at once because now they have this kid. They don't want to go through the same thing. Like you said, they want to protect them. They want to
I
keep
know.
them
You're like,
safe.
it's my baby. I gotta protect you and like create a bubble and
But we've
Jordan
all
made a
seen Bubble Boy, right? That doesn't.
I know,
Nothing
yeah,
but
like
either
that's not
yourself.
that's not good. That's not good. Because you want your kids to go out and experience the world and have fun with it. And Jordan said statistically the world is safer now than it was. Social media makes things really challenging. Social media is, I agree with that. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we can all connect and do things like this and support each other and lift each other up. But then you also see all the bad things. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of like the news. Like
I
it's
don't even
just,
watch the news.
I
I'll be
don't either. It's just
honest with you.
bad things, bad things. This is terrible, awful. I hate all of it. And so that makes it tricky too for a mom. It's a hard time to be a mom because there's articles out there like, do this, don't do this, and you're like confused and you're like, I'm really just trying to survive and trying to enjoy my kids when they're little and try to not be too crazy about things. And so it gets really, it's an interesting time to be alive, but knowing how to deal with those fears helps a lot. And I think having people to talk to, a community of support of like-minded people really helps a lot.
Yes.
Because sometimes you do feel just
Alone.
alone. You're just
Yeah.
alone. And when you're alone, those fears start to race in your
Yep.
mind even more.
You go down that rabbit
And then
hole.
you create insane scenarios
They're
and
like
then you're like,
never
I'm
really gonna happen.
crazy. Yeah, you're like that would never ever happen.
Yeah.
So it's not good to be alone. You have to have your community, whether it is online or in person. I don't do a lot of things in person. So a lot of my tribe is online, is over social media. Because a lot of people there, they're kind of all over the country. And
Which is
I know I
awesome.
see you a lot. Summer, I see her. She's in town, and so it's nice to see that. But I'm just glad I'm not alone because I've been there early on in motherhood, and I didn't have this. I didn't have a ton of friends, and it was a lot. I was a lot more fearful, and it was not a good place to be. And I think some of that kind of led to I call it the downfall, into the dark times where I've rebuilt myself into this. And now I'm learning and growing, and I'm confident enough to come on here and just share my life, which a lot of people have fear about. And they have fear about being vulnerable. And it's okay to be human, okay? Humans are vulnerable, so it's okay to be who you're supposed to be. And
We're
to
actually
share
more
that.
connected that way too. We get vulnerable. We actually have a lot more in common when we share the truth or our truth.
You take off the
These
mask.
fears- Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're not alone. We're like, oh, you have those fears too, or oh, you feel that way too. I'm not crazy.
Like, oh, yeah, and it's like a sigh of relief. You're just like, oh my gosh, like there's at least one other person in the world that feels this
Yeah.
way. So I'm not alone. And
I
I'm
mean,
not
come on,
crazy.
guys. There's at least 7 billion people and counting, right?
Yeah.
So
Isn't that crazy?
it is crazy.
And think of all that fear that people go through. And I know Summer said earlier she feels that, or she fears failing things. And we kind of touched on that earlier, but it's like, what is it about failing things that is so fearful? Does it really come down to the judgment of other people, the lack of support? Because if we had more support if we had more people saying, oh, it's okay, like, you'll just learn, like, would there be that fear around failing? So does it really come down to the support or lack of support that we have when it comes to being scared of failing at things?
Yeah, I think that has a big impact. Yes, your tribe, your people, your support system, right? That's why we call it that. I do think some of it can be generational fear too, that might not even be your stuff you're carrying. I mean, we could talk about that. That's a whole
we
thing.
could. That's a good
If
one.
we could do on
Yeah.
that, generational healing and things like that. But yeah, I think your community has a big part of that. If you have a very supportive tribe, and the reason for the community and stuff is that you're sharing your fear, you're being vulnerable, right? And it's with these people that you trust. And the thing when you have a community like we've created here, somebody else that's watching this may have already walked through what you're going through, and they can maybe give you guidance. So like when you talked about earlier, when you were stepping out first being a mom, how hard that was and fearful you were because you didn't know. Like it was the unknown, right? Uncharted territory.
Yeah.
You're going through with a machete in the jungle, making the path,
Like,
right?
I'm lost. I hope I'm going the right way. I don't know.
But the thing is, you gain so much from that experience. That's why you're doing what you're doing today. And that's how you're able to impact and help so many other moms who maybe feel that way. You kind of are like their guiding light now because you went through that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That would be
So
nice.
you're
It'd
their
be nice.
support system, you're their community. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you get that all the time on here, like people writing you, telling you those things. I know you
Yeah.
do. Like
Yeah,
you're
I
that
do.
type of
Yeah.
person. You get this
Yeah.
stuff all the
I don't
time.
like to toot my own horn because I always
You
feel like
do?
talking
Why
about
not? See,
myself is
okay,
like
wait.
tooting my
That's
own
a
horn.
fear. That's
I
a
know
fear.
it is a fear. It is a fear.
It's
Look at
okay
that.
to toot your own horn, people.
Yeah. Man.
That's another thing. It's like that's a program where we're made to feel bad for celebrating ourselves.
Yeah.
And then that's where you
That
get
is
caught up in the
weird.
fear.
Where's that come from? Maybe it's just like, I don't know. Because I'm so used to being kind of very introverted and timid. I'm like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
out. Like, I don't want it to seem like I'm making a big deal because it's not a big
It's all about
deal. But
intentions.
I am proud of my journey, and I am proud that I do have people that just let me. I mean, they will. They're just like, hey, thanks for talking to me, or I'm so glad you posted this. This really
Yes.
resonates with me, and that just makes me feel good because I know it's helping someone else because I know what it feels like to just be stuck. So I'm glad that I have come so far and am able to help people just being me because it really is just me.
Yes. Telling your
I
story, sharing your story.
yeah, I
That
don't
helps
really
you.
have a mask anymore. I mean, every now and then, if
It was
I'm
more
in social situations, like out when I have to people, I call it people,
after
I may
people.
have to put on a little bit of a mask or behave because there's some things Morgan likes to talk about that other people be like, oh my God, this is so weird and awkward. But on here, I'm like, I mean, I have zero makeup on. I have blemishes on my face.
I have a
And
lot
I
of
just, I do have self-conscious issues, but I'm trying to push through that. I don't care anymore. Here's me. It's just
Yeah.
me. At the end of the day, I'm tired. And that's okay. I'm here with you guys, just showing up.
Yeah, we're holding that space. I think it's so cool, even like I said, I've known you for about 2 years now, just to see your transformation myself, like from the Morgan I met to who you are
Yeah.
now. It's like the coolest thing because you really have
Yeah.
like blossomed into
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
you just removed layers that weren't you, and then you've searched for new things that you don't even know were you until you try, right? So
Yep,
it's really cool to
exactly.
see your transition from where you were to
Yeah.
where you are now and how
It's
it's
cool to think
impacting other
back.
people.
It's cool to think back and just to see it myself and then have other people see it too. That's really neat. That
Yeah.
just shows me I'm on the right path and I'm enjoying it. So that's a good thing.
Well, and like when we talked about sharing stories, that's why I've started sharing my story the past couple of years, going through what I went through. And even now when we're doing this and when I do my lives, like the more I share my story, the more people I can impact because, like you said, something could resonate with them. And that was a fear of mine, right? I was worried about telling my story for whatever reason. I've obviously gotten rid of that now, but
Yeah.
it was a thing for me at first. Especially let's talk about lives, right? If no one's ever done a live, when you first start doing lives, it's very uncomfortable. Like you feel
Scary. Yeah.
so weird
It's
when you're
scary.
first
Yeah.
doing them. But it's like the more you do it, the more you build that muscle, the more comfortable you get. That's with anything in life. So anything that you have fear of, that's why they say face your fears. Like because if you conquer that thing, if you face that thing and take away its power, like nothing can stop you. And I've done that purposely with a lot of stuff. Like I had a fear of needles, I had a fear of heights, like
Yeah.
those are just a couple things. I had a fear of
Yeah.
driving there for a while after my cousin passed away in a car wreck. So like I have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've known that has helped me, and I'm sure a lot of you experience this, is just doing the thing. That thing you're fearing, whatever it
do
is,
it.
just do it. Because I'm telling you, on the other side of that fear is the most crazy, like beautiful breakthrough you will ever experience, and most powerful, to be honest. Because then you do it and you're like,
Amazing.
that's what I
You're
was
like,
scared of this
I
whole
was
time.
making a
Like,
huge deal out of
yeah,
that.
that
That
was
was
nothing.
nothing.
And
Yeah.
it's almost like you're like, oh, let's do that again. Just to experience like, oh, and then you'll keep doing it and then it's nothing anymore. So
I know.
I'm gonna scroll back because I think we had comments. They're talking about the news. Nicole says, I don't watch news either, too negative. Dan
Yeah,
said
me
it's
neither.
fake anyways.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys.
And he said, I couldn't imagine dealing with Facebook as a teenager fear.
Oh yeah, we didn't have that back then. I had, let's see, I was, I think like 14 And I had the old Nokia phone with
Oh
Snake
god.
on it. Remember Snake? You're just like playing
Brick
Snake
phone,
in class.
like the one you could drop and it would never
Oh
break. So
yeah,
run it over
they're
and you
probably
never
still
stop.
out there, like
That was my
alive,
first
like in
phone.
a dumpster pile. They're just chilling Nokia phones.
That's
It still
crazy. We're
work.
still playing Snake. Just
I
kidding.
know. Yeah, that's what we had. Yeah, it would be weird. Yeah, I can't imagine social media as
Well,
a
he had a
teenager.
good point, and the way I took that, like, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day about how think of self-image, right? Body shaming and, body
Oh
dysmorphia.
yeah,
It's such a thing. I used to have that
bad.
actually.
Yeah.
Not from being like too big. Mine was from being too small because my whole life I've been very petite. So people would always make comments about how small I was. I needed to eat something or I had bird legs or like whatever. So I
Yeah, you're
developed a
like,
complex in
shut
my
up.
body just from being skinny. And that's just me.
Yeah.
Like I've always been very small and petite. When I was born, I had to wear preemie clothes. I mean, I was pretty small my whole
Yeah,
life.
you're just built that way. That's just how
Yeah.
you are.
And
Yeah.
I'm built just like my great grandma, actually, who was the only other one in the family like that. Everybody else is like freaking
Yeah.
tall, and we're
Yeah.
short and petite, or she
Yeah.
was. I'm like, thanks, Granny, for the jeans. But
Awesome genes.
what I was gonna say about that is, so even for my generation growing up, before I remember like Facebook kind of took off. I was in high school, and I think it
Hmm.
was like junior, senior year probably is when it really started coming about. Before then, it was like MySpace, right? Um,
Oh, MySpace. Rank
right?
your friends.
Yeah. That's a whole nother fear. People
Oh,
are like,
I
"Who's
know.
number one?"
I'm
Anyway,
not number one.
I was just saying that I think that social media today, like that's what's even scarier for the kids growing up now, is like
Yeah.
they're not just seeing magazines, right, with pictures of skinny girls or whatever, or they're supposed to be this certain way. Now social media,
Hmm.
because it's so broad and covers so many things, now they
Oh
have
yeah.
just constant content coming in, like you need to be this way, you need to look like this
Oh
girl.
yeah.
Oh, this girl looks this way, she's wearing this, she's posing like this, she has this many followers, this many likes.
Hmm.
So in order to be
Yeah.
popular or to be accepted, you have to be like that.
Yeah. Or all
So
the
I'm sure that
filters.
triggers so much more.
All the filters too. Like
I
you
was
don't
about
know
to
what
say
anyone
that.
looks like anymore.
I was
No
so about
filters
to
here,
say that.
guys. This is what
Like,
if you see
okay,
me in public, like this is what I look like.
I was just about to say that because I was
Yeah.
thinking the other day, like, so I vet people before I add them, obviously, like if they send me a
Oh, me
friend
too. You
request.
don't want some creeper.
So if you guys are on here, you passed the test.
Yeah.
But
Good job.
I think that the way, like you said, the filters are out now, you don't know what people actually look like. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a compound effect because if people have body dysmorphia or just any kind of
Yeah.
fear of flaw of what they look like or whatever, they're hiding behind now this actual mask, this digital mask, right?
Yeah.
It's like if somebody gets on a dating app and they see this person's picture, like, oh, they're really pretty, like they look cool,
Yeah.
whatever. They go meet them in person, totally different person. You would
Yeah.
think because of all the
Mm-hmm.
filters. So what I'm saying is it's okay to use those things for fun, like whatever,
Oh
but like
yeah. Yeah.
don't get stuck up in the Photoshop world. You're still
Oh
a
yeah.
real human. You're gonna have flaws. Like me and Morgan were just talking about. I still have adult acne. Like you probably can't see because of the lights
Me
right now,
too.
but
Look how pink I am.
yeah,
I just
like
have
look
pink
how
and white.
pasty, right? Like look at our contrast, right? I don't care, but
I
my
know, like
point is
whatever.
just don't hide behind those things because you are human and we're so unique. That's what makes us beautiful and different
Yeah.
because we're so different. Morgan is so different from me. I am so different from her, and we're
Mm-hmm.
each beautiful in our own way. And
Exactly.
same goes for all of you who are watching. So, does
Yeah.
anybody watching, I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer, but you can if you want
Mm-hmm.
to. Do you have any of those maybe fears about things that you look like to use filters a lot? Do you, um, what's something else people do? Oh, they take pictures like at certain angles.
I do that. I will do the
Every
angle thing.
picture?
Yeah, I do.
Like that,
I do. I
or
check the
some girls have like
angle,
a good
and then
side.
I'm like, if someone's shorter than me, do I really look like I have a huge chin?
Oh my gosh.
I do the angle thing. I will admit to that. Um, yeah, but I try not to be. I try not to do too many filters. But yeah, if you get the angle like a pie, you're like, it's slimming. And I mean, I have that too. I'm a mom. I've had 3 kids, and
You
I
look
still have
great for
some.
having 3 kids, so you should know that.
That's that is what my husband tells me all the time. He's like,
Good. You have a good husband.
he's
I'm
like,
just kidding.
I
He's
love you.
awesome.
You look amazing for he's like, with much blah, blah. With as much as you snack and the fact that you don't exercise at all and the way that
You
you
look
look after
great.
having 3 kids, you look freaking amazing. So he loves me, and I'm trying to love my
Yourself.
new my new body. and it's fine. And it's just, and that's a whole nother thing too, is like moms expecting to go back to the way they were when they were 20 after they've had kids, when you're
Yeah.
sleep deprived and like you can barely shower and like everything's just crazy. It's so unrealistic, and it's really really hard. And moms have different body shapes. Some moms, they when I was pregnant, I had the hugest belly, like so huge. So I have a lot of looser skin around my belly. And then there's other moms, I guess they have longer torsos, and they barely had a baby bump, and so they don't have that much excess skin, and that's fine. That's how they were built. But there's just so much pressure to go back to normal, to pre-baby weight after you have kids, and it's so unrealistic, and it just makes you feel like an even worse mom before. You're like, well, I'm a crappy mom anyway. I can't even look good anymore. So it's rough out there. So you're all beautiful. I'm beautiful.
Yes.
You've had kids. You have your battle
You're the
scars,
best
your
thing for
stretch
life.
marks, your
Awesome.
C-section scars.
Yes.
Like, it's all fine. You created life.
Yes.
Like, you're a portal from the spiritual realm to the physical
100%.
realm.
Yeah. I love the women who own that shit too. If they have stretch marks, like, these are my beautiful stretch marks. Because you know why? And I'll tell you this. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first when you start doing that, but it takes away the power of the thing that you feared yet again. When you start embracing your flaws and recognize them, that they're not flaws. They're what makes you unique, right? Like fingerprints.
Yeah.
And it just takes that negative power away from it. And it actually, like, there's so much stuff going on right now with that movement as far as like body positive movement. Like, I think that's really cool. So I would just say, if you have something about yourself, maybe that you don't like, just love it. Just start loving on it. Like, look in the mirror and look at the things that, sorry, my dog's barking,
Hi,
that
Ivan.
you don't like about yourself, and start naming at least 3 to 5 things about it that you do like. Why is it unique to you? Why do you like it?
Reprogram.
Yes, that's what you're
that
doing.
thinking.
Okay, I'm going to go back up because we missed a couple. Jennifer said, can't stand filters. Dan said, the voices in our head are so negative, fight them. So here's the thing. It's not necessarily about fighting, because then you're resisting that. So therefore, you're going to attract more of that. Sorry. Hold on.
It's okay. That's real life. You may hear my kids like yelling in a minute. So
he's just trying to be a guard dog. So he's totally not.
He's protecting.
It's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say, don't fight them. Embrace them. It's like when you go to meditate, and we've talked about this before on here, it's not that you're going to go meditate and your mind is going to go blank and it's going to be all rainbows and butterflies and be so
that
great.
doesn't happen.
Which people that start meditating for the first time, they think that's how it's going to be. So then when those random thoughts start coming up, the monkey mind, right?
Oh yeah.
They start fighting it. They're like,
Bam.
why am I thinking these things? Just shut up. Just go silent. And what that's doing is fighting them, and it actually causes more resistance. It's just recognizing those things and like letting them go.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're just fighting them. You acknowledge them, you let it go, and then what I'm saying is to replace them. So after you acknowledge that negative feeling, you know it's there. Well, why do I feel this way? What's really here? Feel it, release it, and then replace it with the good thing you want to feel instead. And the more you do that, that's how you're rewiring your mind. Because you are reprogramming it by replacing taking out what you don't want, replacing it with what you do want. And the more you do that over and over, it's repetition, it's practice, just like anything else. That's how you build those new neural pathways. And that will become your new normal.
Super important. And I like to think of it, because all this stuff is programming that we usually get from childhood, wherever we pick it up. So it's kind of like, how, like if you had a kid or if you're around kids, they're just, when they want your attention, they're just going to keep talking and poking you. Mom.
Makes me like a field again.
So when you have those thoughts, I like to think of it as almost like your inner child that's just like, Mom, I need attention. So just, okay, how can I help you? And then you let them talk or say what they need to, and then like, okay, that's fine. And then they go off, and then
that's all they
like
wanted.
just listening to your inner child.
That was a good metaphor.
Yeah.
Like actually as a kid, your inner child.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, inner child,
What is it you
I
need?
see you, I acknowledge you, tell
Yes.
me, and then be on your way. So,
Yes. Because the only way, and I'll share this with you guys, you might already know this, but the only way to get through things is to go through them.
hmm
Therefore, what I'm saying is you have to like to move through the pain, you have to feel the pain and know that
oh,
it's only temporary. I
yeah.
think we get a fear around that, right? Well, if I go to
hmm
that pain, that's just how it's going to be. I'm just going to be in that pain forever. And that's not true.
hmm
What's true is by not experiencing it, you're being in that pain forever. But actually taking a moment to feel it and face it and acknowledge it, it can be gone like that. Because you're
hmm
finally giving it permission to be felt. And then
Yeah.
you're saying, like you said, it's okay. Like, what do you need? You
hmm
know, okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. Okay, I feel that. All right, go
hmm
play and let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And then it
And
usually won't come back up again once you do that because
it's
you've
amazing
acknowledged
how
it.
simple it is.
Yeah.
And and yet we take the harder way where we avoid and we fight it and we try to ignore it. And that's just, it just keeps it there. And then it's
Yeah.
just around
I think
forever
it's
till you're done with it.
because I think that's because that people sometimes think that's too easy. It can't be that easy. But what's
Yeah.
funny is
Yeah.
they think that, but then they don't do that thing that's
hmm
so easy to do. Instead, they take the
Yeah.
harder route and like self-torture in a way.
Yeah.
Which, again, we're humans, right? We learn through experience through
Yeah.
pain. And so they're like, nah, I'll learn my lesson. Let's just keep reliving this over and over and over for the rest
Yeah.
of my life. No, thank you.
Human programming is funny, just how everything's kind of going on. Oh, this might be a good time to talk about like the generational um, things that we go through because that is a thing, and
Yeah.
I'm fairly new to it, but correct me if I'm wrong. So when we're going through generational struggles and generational healing, is that it's kind of ingrained in our DNA from our ancestors
Ancestors, yeah.
because and so we're dealing with a lot of maybe karmic stuff too, just from,
Yes.
and I mean, it doesn't have to be your grandparents or parents. It could go back farther. I mean, it could go
Yeah.
back like, I
Because
don't know,
remember,
thousands of years.
energy is energy.
Yeah.
So all that is, that's just an energetic signature that's been passed down generation to generation to generation.
hmm How do you know what's generational and what's not?
So for me, and I can only speak for myself, how I know what's generational and what's not is, well, let's talk about fears. If I have a fear of something and I know for 100% fact that I have not experienced, there's no reason I should fear this thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
where does this come from? I've never had an experience where I went through this, nothing myself. Um, then this is coming from somewhere else. And I also want to be clear that you can pick up a fear not just from experiencing it yourself, but like your mom telling you a story about something, or you witnessing it
Yeah.
happen to something else. You can also pick up things that way,
hmm
just to be
Yeah.
clear. Especially like if you're a kid and you're a sponge, right? And your mom's telling you this horrible
Yeah.
story about this evil dog, and then you've never had an experience with a mean dog, but now you're terrified as an adult of dogs.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because you picked up that whatever, however she was telling the story, your body immediately went into that fight or flight, and now you've connected
hmm
that feeling, that fear to
Hmm.
dogs.
Yeah.
But that's how I think. Sorry, I kind of got off track, but that's how I
No,
think
you're
that
good. It's fine.
you know whether or not it's yours.
Okay.
Because even that, right? That is just your mom sharing her story, maybe
hmm
that she's been through, and that's why she feels that way.
Yeah. I think, don't people come across stuff like that in meditation too? Like if they're really practiced at it, I don't know, sometimes, I don't want to say visions, but just like a knowing or a feeling or dreams even. I mean, does your subconscious tell you that at times?
Tell you what.
Like generational
Oh, I'm
fears.
sure. Like you can probably, if you were to, like specifically, even with meditation, like really going in and asking that specifically, like show me what there is generational that needs healed. Because then
Yeah.
you're putting your focus there. I'm sure things would come up because if it's ingrained in your DNA, that would make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've heard too. I haven't really gotten into that too much, but I feel just, you know how you feel your own energy. You just have like a
Mhm.
knowing of yourself. It's like I do feel like, and like a lot of people are going through some generational stuff, like where we're saying, this stops with me.
Yeah.
We're going through some things where, we have some toxic family members that we've had to like cut off. And it
Yes.
sucks and it's awful and we shouldn't have to do that, but we
You
have
also
to.
shouldn't
And I
just
feel like that has something to do with some generational stuff that we're finally saying, this stops here. This will not continue with our kids. Like, this is
Yes.
not going any further than here.
And if you're watching this and you're the black sheep of your family, welcome. We're a herd of black sheep, and you're
Hi.
probably one of the ones breaking generational curses, cycles,
Yeah.
programs, whatever you want to call them. You're
Yeah.
healing
I saw
that.
that meme today, or I saw a meme. It was a black sheep meme on Facebook going around
Oh yeah?
about, yeah. It's like, if you're the black sheep, welcome to the club or something.
Yeah. Well, now it's just we got a whole herd of black. Is that what they're a herd, right? Are they like,
I
I don't
think
know.
so. There's so many, I call everything a herd or a flock
I'm
of
assuming it's a
birds.
herd, so we're a herd of black sheep. So welcome
Herd of
everybody.
black sheep,
You don't
yeah.
have to be black. If you want to be a rainbow sheep, you can be whatever color you want. If you just are
Whatever
the
you
odd
want. You can be an
one out of
invisible
your
sheep,
family, yeah,
or
we
you
just have
can
a
be a
party of
changing
colors.
color sheep. Like, it doesn't
Ooh.
matter.
That was my favorite thing on Wizard of Oz was the color changing horse.
Yeah,
That was
that
one
would
of my
be
favorites.
awesome.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back up because I know we had a lot way
Yeah,
up.
we had a good question from Harmony,
Okay.
actually.
Jennifer said, I used to have a lot of that, although I do take many pictures before I post any to get the perfect one. So she was talking about the filters and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I
Which,
knew I do.
what is the perfect one to you? Like, how do you know? Like, what are you looking for specifically? I'm just curious, and you don't have to share, but
So you want
like,
to hear
how do
my
you,
thought
what
process
is it
on
for
that?
you, Lauren? Yeah. How do you
So,
know it's the one you're like, that's
okay.
the picture, that's what I'm posting? I'm just
So,
curious.
I'm self-confessed angle, the lighting, picture taking for social media, So you want to make sure, this is kind of embarrassing, but it's fine. So you want to make sure
Well,
like
right
you
here,
have the
we're not
right side.
judging.
Everyone has a side of their face that's their favorite, okay?
Yeah, I don't have that. And that's why I'm
So
trying to understand this. Like, I know there aren't a lot of girls like, specifically, they're like, get my good side. I'm like,
you're like,
are all sides your
what
good
is that?
side? I'm so confused.
So you have a side that you favorite, and you want to make sure that the lighting is right. You don't have some weird shadows. You want to make sure like your smile doesn't look too weird, or you're not showing too many gum. Like if I'm really laughing, like I
Mhm.
have a lot of gum area, so I've had to teach myself how to smile like without showing too much gum. So I'm
So,
self-conscious of
okay,
that. And then there's
show
like the
show me your
rolls in your
fake
face.
smile.
Well, I don't even know if it's fake anymore. But like if
Oh,
I'm laughing, like I'll squinch my nose and I'll
uh-huh.
just do this.
Yeah, that's
Like if I'm
awesome.
laughing,
Looks like you're
that's
actually
not a
enjoying it.
smile. I'm not going around smiling at people like that. But if I'm laughing, like I'll do that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've learned to like just smile like that.
So,
And
do you
then
ever do that? Like, you're going to take a picture, you take all these pictures, and then say, I don't know, how many do you usually take? Like five or less or more
probably
before
less
you?
than five. Probably less than five.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
say you take less than five pictures. What if you go through those five pictures and they're not the one? Do you end up just not posting anything?
You'll take it till you get the right one. Because if you're like, I'm gonna do
That's
this,
dedication,
or I
people.
like my outfit, or I like my hair, or my makeup looks really good today, like you'll make that picture happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Anyway, so yeah, it's a weird thing. And then you don't want to do the angle because then you get like the where your chin disappears, and that's why you don't like. That's why people go high because if you like do one from low, you can see like up your nose and like
Uh-huh.
all your skin on your neck
Oh, that's
and
fun. You can see your human body because we're all humans.
I know, right? I'm glad you all can get a kick out of this because she asked for the thought process. That's
Yeah,
the
they're
thought
probably
process.
laughing because they're like, "Oh my God, that's me too." Like we talked about sharing the fear. They're like, "Oh my God, I do the
Yeah.
same thing."
But
So,
I will say, I really am wearing zero makeup on my face. And that's a big step for me because I am
yes,
self-conscious of my complexion. So the fact that I'm here without my makeup
yeah,
is a win for me. That's a step in the right direction. This is what I really look like, okay?
yeah.
Like I really look like this, and that's okay because I am beautiful and you're all beautiful and my husband loves me. He's like, "You look." He's like, "I prefer you without makeup." And I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "I just
That's your
like
natural
who you
beauty.
are." Yeah. So,
And here's the thing, and I don't know if I shared this on a live of my own, or maybe we talked about it last week. I used to have a thing like that too with makeup. I used to would not leave the house without doing makeup. And that was all from programs instilled when I was younger. Like the normal, you have to put on makeup, you have to look this way before you go out. And now I'm just like, no. Like, I believe that your beauty, your soul can pour out your beauty into the world. And I think that's why he recognizes that when you're natural faced and look like that, like you're so aligned right now that that's your beauty and it's outpouring. It's like kind of like when women are pregnant and people tell them they have that glow. I think that we as individuals, the more aligned we are with our true authentic soul, our essence, that pours out. We could be like dressed the goofiest outfit ever, and people are like, oh my God, I love your outfit. And it's just that energy we're putting out. They see that beauty because energy is energy, and that's what we pick up on. Because I've seen some people who look beautiful right on the outside, like they're totally done up, like whatever. But energetically, when I go around them, because I am an empath,
you're like,
but energetically when I'm around them, I'm like, oh my
that's
God.
rough. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, and it's because some people, that's from programming. And again, don't say anything about makeup, because I told you guys before, I have so many friends that they're actually makeup artists, and they do that, and I'm totally fine with that too. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying, when you use it as a mask to hide behind, not as a way to express yourself, but as a way to hide yourself, right? Like,
that's good. Yeah.
Like if you put on so many layers of makeup because you're so self-conscious, right? Then you go out on a date with somebody, and then you start to like that person, you get together, and then you end up getting in a relationship together. What's going to happen that day they see you without the makeup? Like, what do you think is going to happen is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of like, I can't think of the movie. I think it's like House Bunny or something. It's a comedy, but there's different movies actually. I specifically remember lots of movies where they'll go to sleep and the girl will have her makeup on and she'll get up and hurry and put it back on. Fix it up before he wakes up and gets back into bed and like, oh yeah, I just woke up like this. Like, that's so unrealistic.
It is. And I'm like, are there really guys that do that? Or girls too? Like, it doesn't matter. But are there really people
there is
that do that? Like I can't look at you without your makeup. Or that they think
they
like you just wake up like that. Nobody wakes up like that.
I know, but it's if they feel uncomfortable in their own skin, they have to look that way is all I'm saying. So that's the fear with that too, right? I'm going back up, sorry.
No, that's good.
Mary Jo said, so basically when people are taking pain meds, they're just hiding the problem and creating a bigger problem when they do finally deal with the actual problem. Yes. So I do believe in Western medicine. I do believe in Eastern medicine. But I also know, but I also know that a lot of the things, like what I work with my clients specifically, right, with chronic pain, stuff like that, a lot of that has to do with wiring the brain, because emotions are just energy in motion. And if you go through something, it's so crazy. Like I do this with a lot of clients, but if they go through a certain experience and they don't process it right, it manifests somewhere in the body. And that usually you can always go back and find the root of the problem, right? Like, oh, okay, let's use an example. Somebody comes in with back pain and they're like, I have lower back pain. I've had this for 2 years. I don't know why. The doctor, all the scans come back normal. I don't know where this is coming from. So I'll go through like my intake form with them. And some of the things I'll start asking when we're really getting in deep to it, I'll be like, okay, one of the first things I ask, what was going on in your life 1 to 2 years ago when this pain started? Were there any big life events, any divorces, marriages, breakups, deaths in the family, new jobs, moving? Can you think of any other ones? I mean, those are top ones I can think of.
New kids, new babies.
Yeah, new kid. Oh, that's a good one. Just stuff like that. And then you start making the link back, because a lot of the times there's a root cause for that pain. So when you're talking about the pain meds, they're not meant to get rid of the pain. Pain meds are meant to mask the symptoms of the pain. Basically to turn off something in your brain that
doesn't get to the root.
It's a temporary fix, because it's blocking the signal from your brain to whatever part of your body telling you, hey, don't feel this right now. That's when the pain medicine wears off, the pain comes back. But what I do with clients is the whole reason we go in and we get to the root of the issue, address that, and it's always funny to see their faces. Like after we figure out what it was and get the trigger and remove it, and the pain goes away, they're like, oh my God. Specifically when I told you the story about doing that with my dad, I think, with his shoulder, like to this day, he doesn't have shoulder pain. Something he had for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so crazy. Like, and it's funny to see the look on their face when you can like remove something.
Are you a witch? What did you
What
do?
voodoo did you just do on me? I'm like, first of all, you did it. I just helped guide you through it. But it's
Yeah.
rewiring the mind and how we're sending certain pain signals to certain parts of the body. That's all it's creating. So
Yeah.
you're not crazy. It is in your head, but in a different way. It's the
Yeah, but
wiring of your brain. You're not nuts.
oh, that reminds me of that. Not gonna say it right. If you read Harry Potter, the last book or last movie, whichever you do, books are better. Harry's like, "Is this all happening in my head?" And then Dumbledore is like, "Of course it is, but that doesn't mean it's not real," or something like that. And I'm like, that was like one of my favorite quotes from Harry Potter. It's like, just because it's in your head doesn't mean it's
Yes.
not legit, that it's not real, that it's
Yeah.
not effective.
Personally, I went through that with my chronic pain and stuff that I was having. You know, I had all the tests, Western medicine, all those things. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong, right? So then it got to the point where they were telling me it was in my head. We can't find out what's wrong with you. We don't know what's causing this pain. It might just be in your head. And then I'm like, so you're trying to tell me that I'm crazy when I'm feeling this pain that wasn't there
Right.
before.
Yeah.
So that's when I started getting into all this, the alternative things, right? And I
Yeah.
started finding the root. And once I found the root and addressed it, pain went away.
Yeah. That's so
So
cool.
it
I
works.
love it. I love stuff like that.
You want to read some comments since I've been reading all of them?
Let's see. Oh no, it's good.
We
So
looked up Harmony said something. Yeah.
yeah, Harmony, she had a good question. I hope she's still watching. Fear versus intuition. How to decipher if you feel conflicted between the two. Thoughts.
That's a good question.
That's a deep
Okay,
question.
so fear versus intuition. How do you decipher if you feel conflicted between the two? I think a lot of it has to do with, okay, intuition is really like knowing, right? It's just a
Yeah, like in
feeling.
your gut,
Yeah,
in
like,
your gut. Like
so
it's
ask
just,
yourself questions. Like if you're asking about a specific thing, am I feeling this way because I'm fearing it? And if so, where did I pick this up from? You know, search those things. And then if you can't find them, then just really feel your intuition. And like you said, it's that gut feeling. We all have had that. We've all probably ignored that. I've done that before, and then I like kick myself for it later. I'm like, oh my God, but I
yeah.
just listen.
I know you're like, oh my God.
And then I'm like, next
that.
time I'll listen. And then I do it again, and I'm like, oh my God, like I already knew that. Why did I fight? And it's because of that ego mind, man. Like we're just like no,
Yeah,
no.
that was a good question because I deal with that too. Because you're like, am I overthinking or is that a thing? But it really does come down to just asking yourself questions. Like try to get to the root of it. Like, okay, I'm feeling this. What is this really?
What does this really mean to me?
Right. And then you just work through it.
I think the other thing with that too is like, you know, with me doing the NLP, neuro linguistic programming, some of those things will ask you when something's going on, like it's a fear, is it your voice saying it or do you hear someone else's voice saying it? Like, is it your mom's voice you hear saying it? Your dad's voice or whoever? So then you'll know it's not yours. Like if you can actually hear their voice as the one saying it. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm trying to think if I hear in other people's voices. Like if I read a quote,
Stuff
I'll
that's not
hear it
mine.
but
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's my voice that I hear. Like when
Stuff
I
that's
think
not
of
mine,
things.
I can hear in other people's voices when it comes up for me.
Like if I'm
Like if
thinking
it's
of a
something that
memory.
somebody said to me, like or something, because I'm an auditorial
Yeah.
person, right? So
Yeah.
words, maybe that's why it's more like that for me. But words really, like you could hurt me more with words saying something to me than
Yeah.
physically probably hurting me. Like if you were
Yeah.
to hit me, which please don't do that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No
And
hitting.
and the same goes with like you could also build me up, right, with words more than if you were to like give me a hug or whatever. You know, I don't know. That's
Words are
just
powerful.
yeah. So when I hear things like if someone said to me, oh, I've got one, and it's from my childhood. So I was playing at my babysitter's house in the street, not in the street, but on the block of neighborhood. It
But
was
you
me and
were
my
safe,
brother.
so it's fine.
Yeah, and this neighborhood kid.
Yeah.
And I specifically remember him looking to my brother, and I remember him saying, "Hey, your sister's pretty ugly." So when I hear that,
Oh,
I know.
God.
Listen, this was like under 10, so
I know, that's still so mean. God.
it's fine. I'm over it. I'm just saying though. But when I hear that, I don't hear it in my voice. I hear it in that kid's voice.
Hmm.
Isn't that interesting? Does anybody else have stuff like that? Like when you hear that negative thought process, are you hearing it in your voice or is it someone else's voice? Do you hear your mom's voice, your dad's voice, your grandma's voice, like a teacher, a coach, whatever? I'm just curious how that is for you. And then Jordan said, neuroplasticity of the brain is pretty amazing. Have you ever done EMDR? No, I have not, but what I do is very similar. And that's why I like
to call EMDR stand for?
I don't remember the hamburger. It's a rewiring. It's where they do tapping, and you have to use your eyes to go like back and forth. That's really bad explanation of it, but it's very similar. It's
eye movement desensitization. Oh my, I can't even say that.
Yeah, it does something to rewire your brains, and they will do like the tapping and stuff like that.
Why can't I say that word? What's wrong with my brain?
Nothing is wrong with your brain.
Desensitization. Okay.
There you go.
Eye movement desensitization. I did it again.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God. I'm so tired, you guys.
It's all good. There's no excuses. It's fine.
I know what it is now. I don't need to explain myself to you. Okay?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. You tried to pronounce the word, and you tried brilliantly.
I tried, and I failed, and I'm still
And you kept trying.
So it's okay. Oh my God.
And you did great, and no one on here is judging you. So.
And look, when I get embarrassed, I turn red.
Yeah.
My body, will not let me lie to you.
Yeah. So what I do is very similar to that, Jordan, to answer your question. But it is the same principle. You're rewiring your mind. You're using it. Basically, what I do is go in and we're distracting your mind from that feeling to address the other feeling and replace it with a different feeling. That probably sounded really confusing, but it's hard to explain what you do to people. It's just you got to have a session because you have to experience it. It's very hard to put into words what I do.
Yeah. Because it's energy. It's hard to describe energy.
Black sheep. Flock, herd, or mob. I still like herd because mob makes me think of mafia. Flock makes me think of birds. So we're the herd of black sheep here.
Herd of black sheep.
Get the good side. Take as many as needed. We are late. Me too. Nicole said you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Nicole also said, I started getting comfortable with no makeup in my 30s, but I'm in the beauty industry, so I love makeup because it's fun and creative. It's an art. Yes, that's what I was talking about. It's still a way to express yourself. But that's awesome that you're able to be in that industry and you can still feel comfortable in your own skin when you don't have it on.
Definitely. Because it should be fun. It shouldn't be used to hide your true self.
Yeah, people want to see your beautiful self.
Because it's fun to get dressed up.
Yeah, that's how I use makeup now, right? Instead of using it all the time, I use it for special occasions. Mm-hmm. And I talked about that, I think, last time too. When I first stopped wearing makeup, and it was already very vulnerable for me, right? People would make comments, are you sick? Are you tired? Nope, this is just my face. Thanks, guys.
I look like this.
I already feel very insecure about this. Thank you for adding to that. And I had to move through that. Yeah. She also said, totally agree, don't use makeup to hide. That's why I love my job helping women feel more comfortable in their skin. Many women think their flaws are unique to them, but everyone has something. Yeah, I mean, I've got scars on my face. I have a scar right here that you probably can't see because of the light, from busting my eye open playing baseball inside the house with my dad when I was younger. With those little slugger bats that are this big. Yeah. Okay, so I hit it and I was rounding the bases. I go sliding it home and I popped the bat up and had a big black eye and I busted it right here. Had to get butterfly stitches, but I've got a scar on my arm right here that you can't really see. It's about this long, and it's from a burn mark from my mom accidentally burning me with a curling iron when I was little, because I had long hair, right? And she'd always curl it and do all that stuff, and it was sitting on the counter and it fell down, and I literally remember the sound it made and the sizzle, and the smell was horrible. And I just remember screaming at the top of my lungs. Yeah. Anyway, so those are just a couple of my scars and flaws that now I'm I think of that and I'm just oh, that's cool. I own them now. I don't feel bad about them.
It's just part of you.
Yeah. What's that song? Papa Roach. Scars. That's the name of his song. The scars remind us that the past is real. I think it's beautiful. That's why I said women who really own their bodies, any C-section scars or stretch mark scars or anything like that, owning that is showing you the past is real, showing you that what you went through. It's a badge of honor in a way.
Yeah.
And a reminder.
I like that. I've heard people call it a badge of honor. I even saw on Facebook women were getting their stretch marks tattooed, like with fun colors, just to like, and I was like, that's like owning your stuff, man. That's like really cool. And it looked awesome. So it was
cool.
like bright pinks and oranges,
I
like
wonder if it hurt because
rainbow.
it's
And
scar tissue. Because I know when they tattoo
I
over
don't
scar
know.
tissue, it's a little bit tougher.
I don't know, but it
So
looked
anyway, that means
really
they're experiencing the
awesome.
pain twice. If so, like
Yeah, they're like,
having a
I'm
baby, growing the
badass,
stretch
man.
marks, and
Yeah.
then tattooing it up, and like, yeah, I'm fierce and I'm owning this.
It hurts and it's awesome.
Okay, Darcy said intuition is instinctive. Yes.
Yep.
Mary Jo said sometimes love gets in the way of that. That's a good I've never heard. I've never tried to hear a voice before. Yeah. So if a fear comes up for you guys, since that's what our topic is tonight, I just want you to stop next time it comes up. And like Morgan said, ask yourself questions about it. Where is this coming from? Where have I experienced this before? Whose voice is this? Is this my voice saying this? Is this somebody else's? And just really pay attention, because fear is so funny. It's like when you acknowledge fear, it like loses its power.
It's
But
like,
it's like,
oh, I mean, I wasn't.
yeah, like I don't know what you're talking about. Like, don't look at me. Like, but it's like the other side of that, though, right? Is when you don't acknowledge it, it becomes this monster, this big thing, and you just like, I can't even look at it. Like, I can't look at it.
And then it's
And
like, I
it's
own you.
yeah. So.
And then you look at it, it's like, oh, I didn't mean.
Yeah, I didn't mean anything by that. But you take your power back, people.
Yeah.
Mary Jo said, can you read all of that one?
Let's see. Yeah, it says,
I can't
how do you
click on
turn how do you turn off love? For example, your gut says don't do what you're about to do, and then you still do it even though you shouldn't be doing it because you love that person so much. How do you turn that off or deal with that?
So the question I would have for you, do you love that person so much that you would put yourself through pain for someone else? Like, almost like in a, what's the word, like martyr kind of way?
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
How do they feel about you?
Yeah, like,
are they...
honestly, I don't know if that's true love. Like, I don't think that,
right.
Because true love, that person would never ask that of you. They would never expect you to put yourself in harm, is what I mean by that, to make them feel better.
Right. They never want to hurt you intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really answers your question. Do you have any?
But love is tricky. Yeah, love is.
Do you have any feedback as far as that goes, like on her question?
How do you turn it off? I mean, I don't think true love that it can be turned off. But I get that love is tricky because we get all these different programming things into our mind, and then fear. I think there's a lot of fear, like, well, if I love this person, if I don't have them, who am I without them? And like, you shouldn't.
Right.
You are who you are, regardless of who you're with or who you're not with. So
you should always have your separate identity for yourself. Even if you're in the most committed, loving relationship, you can be complimenting of each other, but you should never entwine so much that you then lose your identity in the other person.
Exactly. I will say let's see, I've been married 13 years, will be this year, married 13 years, together 17. I used to be really clingy when I was younger. We got together when I was 17, and I was very naive, very introverted, and I was like extremely clingy, and I kind of identified there was no just Morgan. It was like we were us. Like, that's just what it was. And then through the process of growth in our relationship, that kind of got torn down a little bit because we went through some rough things that I didn't like, and it just kind of broke us apart a little bit. And I went through a phase where I was like, oh shit, like, who am I now? Because I had lost myself because I identified as a unit. And not that we're not a unit now, but I did not have an identity. I was not Morgan. I was Jeremy's wife, or Jeremy's friend. And now I've found love for myself. And by doing that, it's made our love stronger because
you're not looking for that.
Exactly. And he had to go through that too, because he's like, well, this Morgan, like, she's not the same. She's not loving me the same. And so it totally evolved our relationship, but we're so much stronger now because he respected that I needed that, even though it wasn't easy. And I respected myself enough to know that I am happier this way, that makes us happier, and we've grown from that difficulty. We evolved, but he respected me through all of that. We stuck through it. That doesn't mean we didn't have arguments and we didn't fight about things, but we're still here, and it's just better than ever because he knew I needed the space to do that, and he still loved me after I went through that evolution because he loved me. You know,
whatever that was.
Whoever that was, he loved me, and he was always willing to do whatever it took to strengthen our bond, I guess you could say. So if that other person's not willing to reciprocate, that's not a love that you want.
You say peace. You say bye, Felicia, and you walk away.
Bye, Felicia. Yes. So that's a good question. Love is tricky, and I know everyone has different experiences with love.
That becomes also, again, back to programming, right? So I was going to ask you, and then I'll talk about that, but do you think that you healed a lot of stuff for yourself when it came to love? Like the programs you had with that, with like, well, I need this to equal love. I need to be clingy, and he needs to be this way for it to equal love for me, to felt loved and cared for. Do you think that you healed some of those things, like maybe that you were experiencing, and that's what changed it for you?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was just going to talk about, is just that programs, how we base our love is how we receive love a lot of times as kids. Not condoning any of the abuse, but for an example, some people who are abusers usually grow up in a household that has abuse, right? And sometimes they don't know, like, we know right and wrong, so I'm not saying that, but it's like they don't know how else to express love. They think that love is beating somebody that they're with. And I'm not condoning that in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just saying take that perspective and know that in their mind, somehow that is justified because they saw their parents who were in a relationship, right, abusing each other. And abuse can be not just physical. I mean, it could be mental, it could be verbal, emotional, like those types of abuses. So they grow up thinking that's how they express love, until they might find someone who's like, hey, I love you, but that's not going to work. And then they can address those things and change those things and heal those things and find new ways to express that love.
Exactly. And I know, like, we're of the same belief. Like, we all come into this world as a baby, like just a baby that wants to be loved. And then along the way, people have all different kinds of, they have good experiences, bad experiences, back and forth. It's all programming. People, I don't believe people are born, born bad. You know, they're born babies looking for love. I've never seen an evil
baby ever. I've never went up to baby and like, oh, that one's the one. He's got a really weird smirk, and I just feel weird about his energy. I think he's gonna try to take over the world. I don't know, like
Dr. Evil Baby or something.
That's what I think of.
Mini-Me from Austin Powers. Like, no, that's not how it works. There's babies.
All they know is love.
And programming will mess some things up. And then there's the cycle, and then it gets back to generational things. Who knows how long certain abuse has gone on, and then it's up to you in the now to stop it, to address it.
Stop the excuses of saying, well, this is how I was raised, or this was generational for me. Like, no, you get the choice to stop it with you. It does not have to continue.
Yeah.
Everyone has a choice. Some people would just rather not make a choice than make a choice at all. And just so you know, not making a choice is still making a choice.
It's still a choice. Yep.
I'm going to scroll back up to these comments. Jennifer said, Ashton, me too. I got hit in the face under my eye with a bat and needed stitches due to playing baseball with friends at age 5. So we have a very similar experience.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad I didn't have to get stitches. I only had to do butterfly stitches. It probably needed a stitch. And I think that's why the scar is as wide and big as it is. But my dad's like, oh, we'll just butterfly stitch it. So that's what happened. So I didn't have to go to the ER with a big black eye. But
Dad. Yeah.
My dad was the type, so my dad was my softball coach and all that stuff growing up. And anytime I get hurt or whatever, he would always say, well, can you still spit? And I would just like look at him like with this pissed off look, like, I hate you right now. Just shut up. So he would always do that. I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
Darcy said, I burn myself all the time with the curling iron. Still to this day. My niece and I joke about it all the time because she does it too. So when I had long
That's
hair,
funny.
when I used to straighten my hair, I do that. I would like get my ears. Oh my God, just thinking about it, I did not like it. I don't miss
It
that at all
hurts.
about fixing hair, but
No.
burning ears and stuff. Nicole said, love yourself more. Mary Jo said, what I'm saying is, how do you stop loving the wrong person? Does it explain a little better?
Okay. And then she said thank you, Morgan, at the bottom. So
Okay, so did we answer your
that, but
question, Mary?
I think, yeah, if you're
Jo?
still watching, did we answer it?
If not,
Because
let
we
us
can
know in the
talk about it
comments so we
again.
can
Yeah.
readdress it because I know we kind
Yeah.
of
So it's like, how do you
went on
stop
there.
loving the wrong person?
Darcy said, take small steps towards taking care of you first. Baby steps. It's hard. Yes, 100%. She also said, Morgan, I was the same way in my first marriage. And then let's see. Oh, I can't scroll. Nicole was responding to Mary Jo, and I think I'm
Yeah.
caught up. Did I miss
Okay.
any?
Let's see.
If you're still
Nope.
watching Mary
Nope.
Jo and we
That's
didn't
it.
answer your question, just
Yeah.
ask me again and make sure we address it.
Yeah, definitely. Because we want to touch on everything, make sure
Yeah.
that we at least give our insight for things, because that's why we do this. Again, it's a community support. We all have different perspectives and ideas, and yeah. Let's see. You were talking about redirecting energies. How do you redirect love?
Okay. So here's the thing. You can love people from afar. Doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with that person. And I've experienced this lately myself, right? I can still love that person and wish them the best, but I don't have to put myself in harm's way in order to do so. And sometimes it's better for us to do it that way, to express love. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to tell them like, I love you, whatever. Sometimes, and I've experienced this lots in my life, when you cut cords with people and send them on their way, sometimes you just have to send them love. And you don't have to say it to them, just send them off in peace with love.
Yeah.
So I hope that kind of answers your question. So it's not that you're turning it off, because that's what Morgan said. If it's real, true love, you can't just turn it off.
Right. It does. Yeah. Because
But
it's just there.
yeah, it's real. Like your soul feels it, your essence feels it. But yes, you can love them from afar. And Morgan kind of touched on that too, even family members, right? You can sometimes you have to cut out toxic family members, and that doesn't mean that you don't love them. You just have to love them from afar, because it's better for you and yourself than putting yourself constantly in harm's way or just in a negative environment just because they're family. So
your energy matters. Like your energetic space matters. And because if you're putting yourself or allowing yourself to be around someone that has negative energy, you're just around that. You're in it. It is affecting you. And you
don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You have a choice. And I don't care if they're a loved one, like a family member. I don't care if they're a spouse or whatever. Like, you are never stuck. You always have a choice. If you're watching this and you feel like you're in a relationship that you're that way, you're never stuck. Nothing is ever permanent. Change is the only constant. If you feel like something's evolved, they've changed, and it's not in a good way, and you're just constantly in a negative environment, it's okay to get out. It's okay to change your mind. If it's a family member, it's okay to tell them, hey, I just really think we need to separate or not be around each other as much. And you can or cannot tell them why. That's your choice, because also know that sometimes those people aren't going to be willing to accept what you have to say.
Right.
So it comes to you. Do you want to say it because you feel like you need to say it for you to speak your truth? Or do you need to say it so that they understand? Or sometimes you can say both of those things and they still not get it. And that's okay too.
It still won't work.
The point is you speak your truth. It is not up to you how the person you're speaking it to receives it. It is only up to you to share it. And I've had this conversation so much lately with different people, especially the last couple of weeks, literally so many different people, the same conversation. Speak your truth. It is not up to you how that person reacts to your truth.
Yeah.
It's none of your business. Your only business is to speak your truth and be in alignment with yourself. And that means don't take it personal if they don't receive what you're saying. The point is you just say it.
Yep.
So
we have to get over that fear surrounding it. Like, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? What are my friends and family going to say? Like, there's just so much fear around that. And
I think the bigger question, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I was going to say, I think the bigger question with that is, instead of wondering what people are going to say, the fear of, what if you live a life of never speaking your truth? Does that fear not scare the shit out of you?
Oh God, yeah. Does now. Like, I think about that and I'm like, oh my God. That's
Yeah, think about that,
awful.
Morgan. Think about boxing all yourself back up as much as you've grown and expanded, putting yourself back into this little box that people want you to fit in. How would
Oh my
that feel for
God.
you?
No, no, ew. No,
Yeah.
there are no words. There's no words for that. I don't like that. I don't even want to
Yeah.
think about it. That sounds terrifying.
Okay, so that feeling that you're feeling right now, anybody watching, that feeling that Morgan just experienced, if you have that fear come up of what people are going to think, I want you to focus on that fear instead. What it would
Mm-hmm.
feel like to not be yourself for the rest of your life, to
Oh,
be in a box and do what people tell you to do or how to act or what to say or what to wear, blah, 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 and never getting to express yourself. Because
mm-mm.
that's what you're doing when you don't speak your truth.
Yep.
And sometimes we
It's a
don't speak our
prison.
truth.
It's a prison.
Yeah, it is. And it's in your own mind, which is crazy that you can't escape that.
Yeah, you're
You're
imprisoning
self-torturing
yourself.
yourself every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Let's see. Mary Jo has another question. How about pride? How do you break down your pride?
So I don't believe it's pride. I think that's your ego mind.
Yeah.
And the ego mind is what
Ego.
we use to protect ourselves. There's a really good book. If any of you guys are readers or maybe do Audible or whatever, you should check out the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And he
That's a good
specifically
one.
talks about
Yeah.
the ego. It's a really good book. I could read it over and over again. But the ego mind is the thing that tries to protect us based off past experiences or even things that haven't happened yet. But
Fear.
it's not your pride. Your pride is your ego. So it's just knowing when those things come up to know that's just your ego talking
Yeah.
and
And I'm
asking yourself how you really feel about the situation.
and sometimes I wonder if because people say like, "Oh, you're just being prideful." It's almost like self-confidence can be confused with pride,
Yeah,
and that's usually going to come
that's that
from
person's
someone with
programming.
negative energy
Yeah,
because you being your true self, your confident self just kind of irritates them because they
because it's one of
aren't
their pain points.
being
It's a
their
trigger.
yeah, because they're in their self-imposed
Yes.
mental prison. So
Hmm. Has nothing
because
to do with
you'll
you.
right because you once you start speaking your truth, you do become more confident, and there will be people that will think you're being prideful and that it's
That's life.
negative, and happens to me a lot. I mean, if you follow me at all on Facebook, I talk about all kinds of shit, and it irritates. It just irritates people. So
Yeah.
don't your true self like you do. Even if you think
Mhm.
you don't, you know your true self, and
Only you
you
do.
just have to shine bright, and just anyone that's going to talk shit, just
Bye.
let them talk shit and
Don't
just
feed it.
be your fucking awesome self.
Yes.
As long as you're not like intentionally hurting other people,
Intention is
um,
everything.
that's just be you. Be proud to be you. Don't
Yep.
ever make anyone
Don't shrink
feel
yourself for other
shame. Yeah,
people.
don't ever feel shame for that. Don't allow people to shame you for being your true self.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I agree with all of that.
yeah.
So, one of the other things I was going to say about fear is that, so when we think of things, if you're living in fear mindset, you're actually living in the past. You're not present now, here, and what's happening because you're using your mind to go back to past events that have happened. If you're in anxiety-ridden mind, you're living in the future. You're worried about things to come that haven't even happened yet. So you're actually worrying about it twice. You're worrying about the thing that's going to happen that hasn't even happened. So then when it does happen, you're worrying all over again.
I know.
So
Terrible.
again, the book,
Yeah.
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, specifically talks about this, about being present in the ever-present now. Because now, right now, in this space right now, this is the only thing that exists. Nothing else
It's true.
exists except this moment.
It's true.
Because even when you're visiting a memory of the past, that's just your perspective of the memory. And our mind, I mean, there is so much studies on this, like how we can implant memories and change things based off your perspective, your programming is like, that's why eyewitness testimonies aren't actually that great because it's whatever programming that person has picked up, what they saw, where they were at mentally when they were noticing these details, how their brain changed it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is your memory isn't even the actual memory of the event that happened. It's just your
Yeah.
perspective. That's why you and somebody else can experience the same thing. You go back to talk about the memory and you have two different experiences. You're like, no, where were you? That is not what I remember at all.
Yeah. I'm laughing because you're talking about eyewitness accounts. And So I have kids. We watch a lot of movies. If you ever watch Monsters Inc., you know when Boo gets into the place and all the she's at the restaurant and then everyone's like freaking out because like, oh, there's a kid and we're gonna die. And there's like the news story, and one of the monsters, he's like, and it was shooting laser beams out her eyes or something.
Exactly.
It's just that's because it's not even close to what happened, but
they were in
his
the fear
interpretation
mindset.
of it. Yeah. So that just made me laugh. That was my
That is a
squirrel
good,
brain. I was like laughing to myself, and I had to get that out. So I'm sorry.
it's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a thing. Like, if
Yeah.
you were in a heightened fight or flight mode, like, you're probably sometimes going to remember things that aren't even really there.
Yeah. You like make stuff up.
Yeah, that happens all the
Create
time.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to be in the ever-present now, and that's why meditation is such a thing. Like, that's such a great tool.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about sitting there and like, like just that meditation. Breathing in itself is a meditation. Bringing awareness to your breath is my favorite thing to do because I can do that anywhere. I can do it driving, standing in line, eating, like whatever. Just really pay attention to my breathing. If I start feeling anxious or worried or whatever, I just pay attention to my breath. So you to do that, to do the easy breathing meditation, because you're like, well, how do you breathe? Well, everybody knows that. But
Yeah.
to do the meditation to focus on your breath, you just take a deep breath in through your belly, hold for 5 seconds, and then you blow it out to a count of 5. So when you're taking an inhale, it's on a count of 5, holding for 5 seconds, breathing out, and then to a count of 5, and then holding it again for 5 before your next breath. That's one round. So do that as much as needed. Like if you're ever feeling like in that really worried, like anxious state or fear state or whatever, just bring yourself back to breath. Because what that's doing is it's working with your nervous system. You're telling it by doing the breathing and all that to quiet back down, like, hey, it's okay, we're safe. You're just doing very relaxed breathing. And you know that probably, people who have ever had panic attacks. I used to have those a lot.
Yeah.
When you go and have a panic attack, your breathing gets very rapid, shallow, really quickly together. And then you focus on that. So then that makes it worse and it just compounds. And then people are like, you're fine, you're not dying. And you're like, I'm dying. Like,
You're like, don't tell me what I'm
you don't even
doing
know.
and not doing.
Yeah.
Stop
it. So anyway, when you do that, it really helps you. And those are, like I said, that's something easy that you can do anywhere. So
it's like a body hack. Like,
yeah. So there you go. There's a little tip for you guys to use. If you're
body
one of those
hack
people
tip.
who experience it, just focus on your breath. See how that helps you.
Yeah.
Self-confidence, confused pride. Darcy said, yes, worrying about it twice and fear living the past. I've done and do both, LOL. I'm getting better about trying to not being a worry wart. I have to learn to pay attention to my breath work. I just forget. Yeah. Most people do that, Darcy. You're not the only one. Like when we get stressed, that's why I'm saying pay attention to your breath, because when we get in that stress state, one of the things we usually forget to do is breathe. How many people go through something and hold their breath?
Yeah. Or you do like the quick short breaths. Like you're not breathing deep. You're just like getting enough to barely survive, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you'll do that like big breath and you're like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah.
So you've just been like
yes. Which triggers the
your
pain.
body's like, oh my God, I
Give
need
me
some oxygen. Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Well, I think we covered all of the questions.
We covered a lot. We did a lot. It's already 10 o'clock. We always go an hour and a half, and it never seems that long.
Yeah, we usually average an hour to hour and a half.
Yeah.
For these, which I enjoy because, like I said, everybody interacting. So thank you guys for interacting.
Yeah, we love it.
Are here for. Oh, before I forget, and before you guys hop off. So last week, after me and Morgan did this, we created the AWAKEN Vlogcast community group. Yeah. So it's up and running.
It's willingly running.
Yeah. Are you on the computer, Morgan? Or are you on
yes.
Can you copy the link to the group in the comments? They'll have it. But anyway, you can also probably search it and find it. But we created a group because what we wanted to do is to continue this conversation going, this community, and we wanted you to be able to reach out easier to one another, right? Because that's the whole point of having this community, this tribe, other than just on Wednesday nights when you're on here with all of us. So you can join that group. You have to answer a couple of questions before you get accepted. And then you can interact with each other. We can just continue the conversation. So yeah, Morgan just put it in the comments. We can continue the conversation. You can get to know one another, like, and that way you're not alone. You have people, and it's not just here on the live on Wednesday nights, which we love you on here. So, not saying
Oh,
don't come on
definitely.
here also, but we just
Please
wanted to
still
keep
come
that
on
going
here.
throughout the
Yeah.
week. Yeah, because I mean, stuff's gonna happen, throughout the week that you want to talk about, and you're like, I don't want to wait till next Wednesday to talk about
Yeah.
that. So that's why
Like,
we
I need to
created.
do it now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can put anything in there. It's all free range. Just go for it. Any
Yep.
questions, anything like that. Any suggestions of things that you want us to cover on these lives.
Oh, yeah.
So, did I miss anything with that? I can't remember because I'm not looking at the description, but like the different things that we can cover in there.
Let's see. I didn't. Oops. Not. Let's see. What did you say about it? Oh, hair in my mouth. About, let's say, just, this is a safe space, sacred container to shine your light, give and receive support, allow yourself to connect deeper with high vibe energies. We can talk about all things spiritual and intuitive, extraterrestrials. I love
That's your favorite.
aliens, I know, and the universe.
You're gonna like my new deck that I got then.
Oh,
I'm gonna grab it real quick. Hold on while you're talking.
Energy and vibrations, personal growth and challenges, mindset, blocks and limiting beliefs, and anything else you can think of. I mean, we could add conspiracy theories in there.
Oh yeah, we need to add that one. That's important.
I love those too. Those are good. Because if you think about it, not all conspiracy theories can be wrong. There's so many out there. Like,
there's been a lot
unlikely that 100% are wrong. I mean, I love
I think it needs renamed. I don't think it needs to be called conspiracy theories because I think there's such stigma around it. There just needs to be truth telling. That's what needs to be.
I use the term. It's like a term of endearment. I'm like, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but we all know it's true. So that's all that matters. I'm just kidding.
So this is the new deck I got.
Let's see.
Is it backwards to you?
It is backwards.
Okay, it's Arcturus Speaks Oracle deck, but it's light language and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So,
oh my God, that's awesome.
Extraterrestrials and stuff. I thought you'd like them, but they're pretty nice. I'll have to show them to you in person.
Yeah, I need to come over.
So let me see. Let me make sure I got everything on here. So the biggest takeaways, if you're watching the end of this and you didn't watch all of it, was that our brain, when we're in fear, it's just our brain trying to protect us. Yeah, and that you have a choice to choose powerfully. You don't have to give in to that fear. Fear of the unknown usually is a thing too. Like when we get outside of our comfort zone, there's a lot of uncertainty there, a lot of vulnerability. So it feels scary as hell, but
you feel like naked in the universe. You're like, I don't know what's happening.
Where's
my protection?
Yeah, but that's where the most growth happens, right? Because you're getting out of your comfort zone. And then I got face the fear. That's the biggest breakthrough, is just on the other side of that. That's where you're going to just experience the most fundamental, amazing changes. Once you face that fear and you take the power away from it, you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
That bad?
Next.
Yeah.
And then we talked about the AWAKEN Vlogcast community group that you guys can add, and it's in the comments that Morgan added.
I just added Mary Jo. She joined right away, so I approved her.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we are here. So we hope you guys to join us. You can go to the AWAKEN Vlogcast series event page, and you can put interested or going, and that way you'll just get updates for when we're going live. We usually post the link in there so you can go back and watch it. We also post the topic in there, what we're going to cover that Wednesday. And then let us know what you think. We love feedback. So we like to know what you guys are getting out of this, what you look forward to, why you think this is important to have, why you want to be a part of it, what you enjoy about it. And then if you have topics that you want us to cover, let us know. So that's all I got. As far as highlights, did you have anything else?
No, I think that's good. Covered a lot. We always cover a lot.
Yeah.
We have good flow.
It was a good topic.
Yeah, it was.
We have good energy always. So thank you guys for joining us in the space, being here with us. Even if you're watching the replay, you're still here energetically with us. And we really appreciate everybody tuning in. That's why we do this. And we're so happy to see the feedback we've gotten from it and the interaction.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it just makes you feel really good because then, like you said, you're not the only one experiencing this. You have people that get it. So we're so happy to hold that safe space for you guys to be able to share and have these conversations. And we look forward to it every week just as much as you guys do. So
We do.
thank you.
All right. Guess that's that.
All right.
Hope everyone sleeps well.
Yes. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.